All right, I'm going to try this audio right here. Steven, can you hear me now? Put that here into the comment feed. Let me know that you can hear us. Apparently, we're having some issues with the microphone. I'll get that working as Veronica
Yeah,
talks a little bit.
I could hear you now.
Okay, so we just had a microphone issue. So we've been talking this whole time, and you guys haven't been able to hear us. So we're
Take
probably
two.
take two, and the manifestation mindset. And what we're talking about today is setting big goals for yourself. And just want to know, make sure that we can hear you. Yes, audio is now. We had a microphone issue. Thank you, Stephen, for letting us
Yeah,
know.
thank you so much.
These things happen when we go live, and so we'll make sure that when we in the recording, we'll edit all this out, and we'll start fresh. So what we were talking about, as we were just miming through the camera, was setting big goals and different types of goals that we can set for ourselves. And
Let's just start over.
bring up the gain. Yeah, so apparently we're just having some audio issues here.
Let me see.
Hang on, we're just gonna do a quick little test here. Okay, so we're good right now. I just switched
Kind of
microphone.
low, but because that was the highest.
Yeah, so we're just having some audio issues, and we're just gonna keep on going. Otherwise, I have to play with a whole lot of settings here. But we're talking
We'll
about
get closer to the mic.
we'll get closer to the mic, but we're not talking to this mic. We're talking to the Matt mic.
Oh,
I switched mics.
okay.
So big goals, right? So
So let's go back to the first type of goal, which is
yeah,
the A type of goal. And the A type of goal is a goal that it's something that you've already done before that, and you know how to do, and so you're familiar with it. But with those types of goals, there's really not a lot of growth. So, for example, say you've bought a car in the past, like say 10 years ago, and your goal for this year is to get a new car. So you've already done that before because you've bought a car before, so you're familiar with it. And that's not really something that will create a lot of growth because it's something that you've already done, so you've been there, done that. So it's more like a simple goal that something you want to do, but it doesn't necessarily involve a lot of growth in it.
yeah, and it's like we we've done it before, and so there's not a lot of we just do it over again. We repeat the process, and so one thing we go into is we go to these B type of goals. And what is the B type of goal? That is a goal that we haven't done it before, but we believe that we can do it. And so there might be some steps that we have to take, and you might be able to find things online. People will give you a step by step process to do that. The analogy that we used earlier was, my goal when I was younger was I wanted to be a doctor, and I set a goal to be a chiropractor. And at that time, I didn't know. I never done that before because I was just fresh out of high school. But I didn't know what I was supposed to do. But I was given a guideline. I went to the colleges, I went to the counselors, and they said, you take this many classes. This is this criteria. You just got to follow the path, and by the end, you'll have your degree. And I said, okay. That means I had a game plan. And so that's what my goal was. And in that process, I hear that the volume is very low.
Yeah.
So we're just going to have to play around with this for a while. So
Can you connect the other mic or no?
I can. It's gonna take me a while
Oh.
to figure it all out,
Okay.
and unless you keep talking, and I can do it. So I set that goal, but it was a B goal because I knew that I could do it, but it's something I hadn't done before. But there was a lot of growth in that, and that's what goals are for.
Yeah, so the like Aaron mentioned, the B type goals, you've done it before, or you haven't done it before, but there's like a layout of how to do it. So there's some growth in that, but not as much as the C type goals, which is something that really scares you. Like Aaron mentioned earlier, he was talking about when he went to chiropractic school, and he was scared because it was like something new for him, and that's good. It's like a good kind of scare. And we create these goals to, one is, the way I see it is to measure. It's like to measure where you're at now and where you're going. So you can see, like, okay, this is where I was prior to starting my goals. And then you can measure to see where you're at. Like if you're working on a business, or you're working your way through school, you can see, okay, I'm here, I have these many credits, and this is my day of graduation. So you know where you're at. And in business, you can see your growth either by the income that's coming in, how much is there, and where you're at from where you started.
Pause. Okay, so we should have a new audio in here. I just want to check with Steven because Steven's here with us. Steven, how does the audio sound now? I changed the microphone. Just want to make sure it's not too low, that it's not too high, that it's just right.
Just right. Let me see.
And so this is why I love having you guys on here.
I think that's better because
All right.
Yeah.
Volume's way better. So I just had to switch microphones. Thank you, Steven, again, and all
Yeah,
you guys
thank
that are
you.
watching and being patient with us. And so this is the things that happen when we go live.
And
so,
it's okay.
And it's okay. And we just fixed it right away. And so when we're going through the goal settings, what we really love to work on, and this is something that was brought to our attention a few years ago, was working on what we call the C-type goals or the big vision goals.
Like the big kahuna goals.
The big kahuna, right? And what does that look like? It's something that you've never done before. You have absolutely no way of knowing how you're going to do that. And it can be so big that it actually frightens you to be able to do that because there really is no how. Thomas Edison.
Well, there is a how, but you don't have it yet.
You don't have it yet. There's always a how. You just don't know it right now. You don't know how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Think about anybody that's innovated in this country, in this world. From Thomas Edison creating the light bulb. No one ever did that before. Like, how is he going to do that? And he figured out a way over trial and error how to do that. How the Wright brothers created flight with the plane. Nobody had ever done that before. How they created ships and the iPhones, and like nobody had done things before, but we innovate. And so these are what we talk about. The big visions is like, what is something that you would love to do that it's a big stretch for you. It's going to challenge you. And you may not know how to do that right now. That's what we're talking about with these big vision goals, is that C type of goal, because that's where growth is going to take place. That big, not knowing how to do that, you're going to learn to figure that out. And as you learn to figure things out, you grow in the process.
Yeah, but you also have to see where you're at in your mind, emotionally, because if you set those C type goals, sometimes you can, like, they're so far out there that you don't even know like how it's going to happen, but which is fine. But what can tend to happen is that sometimes people get discouraged because they're on that path and they're following that goal and trying to figure things out, but either one, they get impatient, and because it's like, okay, it's I'm 1 month in and I still don't see anything, no results, or I still don't know how I'm going to do this, and they get discouraged. But if you have faith and you trust that your goal is going to happen, and you allow things to happen the way they need to happen, you're going to meet people along the way that are going to help you, or you're going to see something that, maybe a class you can take or something. And you have to have that awareness to look and see what's in front of you. And then when you see that, the things just fall into place. And, maybe there's a workshop, a seminar that's going to help you to attain that goal. But you have to be open to receiving. And if you're not, then, that's where, you might not push away, but you might not see what's in front of you at that moment.
The other day I was watching a movie, and I was watching the movie Avatar, and I think that is a really great movie by James Cameron. If you have never seen it before, Veronica was watching some parts of it with me. We're gonna watch it fully together. But I remember hearing a story about that movie with James Cameron, that he had the script for that movie years before he even made it, and I think it was just sitting in a drawer, probably almost 10 years before he even made it. And the reason why he didn't produce it was because he had a vision in his mind of how he wanted it to look, but the technology was not there for him to create that dream, his vision that he saw in his mind. And so over time, obviously in the last decade or two, we've grown exponentially in our advancements in technology. And he was actually able to create the cameras or the technology to help create what he wanted to do in order for him to create that movie. But that took him a while. And it's like one day, probably, something happened where, wow, I can actually do this now. Somebody created that. And so that's going to be the thing for you with these big vision goals, is you are not going to know how to do what it is that you want to create or do. And a lot of times is, depending on what your goal is, and the way the universe works is once you decide that you want that, then the universe is going to conspire with you and start providing you with the tools, the resources, the people that might be able to help you with that goal. That maybe there's people you have not met yet that you're going to meet that are going to help you progress even further with that goal. But the key, and you were talking about this just a second ago, was not giving up on your big vision. And that's what even Napoleon Hill talks about in his first principle of Think and Grow Rich is you have to have the desire. Mm-hmm. The desire for it. And I think why many people give up on their goals is the desire, the obsession to achieve it is not strong enough. And so the moment one challenge takes place or a setback, they give up and do something else, or it's not showing up right away. Like again, we're at the end of January right now, 2021, and people are setting their New Year's resolutions. Mm-hmm. And how many people are still continuing with their goal, and how many people are now starting to kind of fall off because it maybe didn't happen right away in the first couple weeks.
Yeah, and that's where that patience comes in. Like you have to have patience for things to happen. The more you try to push things, the more resistance you're creating. So it's like you're just trying so hard to make things happen. You're actually creating more resistance by doing that. But if you just allow things to happen the way they need to happen, have the patience, have the faith and trust that it will happen. And I would recommend seeing it already as done. Like if you can visualize the moment you wake up, when you go to bed, visualize that goal and get into that energy of it and really feel what it's like to be there. Ooh, I'm getting goosebumps. Feel what it's like to be there. And you will start to see things change for you. Like you live every day like you're already there. And by doing that, you're creating the physical manifestation of it. So it may not happen the next day, but sometimes things take time to manifest. But the more you have patience, trust, and you have faith that everything's going to come out the way you want it, it will happen. So, remember that. So have patience, have faith, and trust that it's already here. So it's like, why worry about something, like you're worrying for no reason because it's already here. And keep that in your mind's eye, visualize every day, and watch what happens.
And as we mentioned earlier, it's not so much about the goal itself that you're trying to accomplish that's going to make you feel a certain way or I got that sense of accomplishment. It's the growth process as you're going through it. Because again, as I mentioned earlier, going through schooling to be a doctor, that was a 10-year process. I had a goal to be a doctor, a chiropractor. And I didn't achieve that goal until almost 10 years later because I had to go through a lot of schooling, and there was a process for that. It wasn't like you go for a month and you're good. Anybody that's in the medical field, that's going to take some time to do that. Your goal has its own gestation period, and you don't know how long it's going to take you. So when we try to put time constraints on goals, that can also frustrate people because if they don't hit their goal by the date they wrote down on paper, it doesn't mean that the goal is over. It just means, okay, it might just take a little bit longer because some things you just are unable to rush. And there's a lot of other factors that are involved. It depends on your willingness, your desire for that. And these are the things that we teach at our institute, at the Manifestation Mindset Institute with our clients is how can we progress forward? How do we attract and manifest the things that we want? But there is a beginning process. Manifestation Mindset, what is this show about? It's about developing the mindset at first before we start taking the actions and things we need to do, because we have to prepare the soil and the foundation, and it all starts with how we think. It also begins with how we feel on the inside, and then that's going to determine your behaviors and your actions, and that will eventually determine the results that you get in your life. And we all just need to take a look at all of our results. We can always be doing something better, and when we take a look, and wow, am I happy where I'm at, or can I do something more? Is there more things that I need to learn? Do I need to ask for help? There's so many different factors, but as long as you desire something, you keep moving forward, those hows will come to you, and you don't have to search for them.
Yeah, so, with goal setting, there's a lot more to it than just being very descriptive on your goal and what you want, and whether it's a A, B, or C type of goal. Because behind all that, there's, like Aaron mentioned, there's working on the mind. And a lot of times we have things that come up. So it's like triggers that come up. And anytime you're working towards something that you've never done before, that's a different energy. So your stuff is going to come up. And that's a lot of times that's when people tend to give up or fall back because they're stuck. They're stuck in, and there's this wall, and they just have no idea how to get through it. But Erin and I work with people on this all the time, and our at the Manifestation Mindset Institute, we help people with this, and we help you to identify what it is, what's stopping you, what's holding you back, and when it first got there. Because a lot of these triggers and things that show up is stuff from childhood, things that, maybe someone said something to us, maybe it was in the womb when you were being developed, maybe there was issues between your parents, and maybe it made you feel like not worthy. There's so many different factors that come into play when working with the mind, and we help to really release that and let it go. So it's very interesting when working with different people what comes up, and we've gone back to like in the womb stuff, just all kinds of different things. But it's very interesting how our mind, how it perceives things. So
and like just like the emotions and the feelings that people that come up. I mean, this is
stuck.
all, it's all energy.
Yeah.
Emotions are energy. Your thoughts become energy, and it's like what our energy is. It's like that aura that we all have. It's radiating something about us. It can radiate, and that radiation is going all the way out and everywhere, and you start to attract things that are in resonance with that energy. And so when you learn to shift your energy, which is your thoughts, and your emotions, then you start to attract different things into your life. But most people are trying to just do more things, but they keep the same energy, and they wonder why they are not achieving the things that they want, or if they do achieve them, maybe they don't last very long, or maybe they're not satisfied with what they have because of something going on in here and in here. So we have to connect the heart and the mind together again, and understand what's going on the inside. What's the internal dialogue? What do you feel like? How do things trigger you? And this plays a huge role when we're trying to create and set these big goals in our life. And so if when you're setting these goals, put that into consideration that you're going to come up with some resistance, some challenges. That's the growth process. That's there to show you that there's things that you need to work on. And as you work on that, you break through, you expand your consciousness, and you start to move one step forward, closer to your goal, your vision, your dream. And so, as we're doing these, as you're setting these big goals, is first think about what it is that you really, really want, and get crystal clear on that first. Because if you don't really know what it is that you want, then the rest of the process just isn't going to work very well, because it's very vague.
Yeah, so if you're not ready to set the C type of goals, which is the big kahuna goals, then, go ahead and do a B type goal. Maybe you haven't done it before, but some steps along the way on how to get there. So maybe you can start with that, and then sometimes people need that to boost their confidence level. Like I need to set this goal, I need to accomplish this, and I'll feel good, when I get there. But it's the key is feeling good already before you even get there. And that's what we teach, is working on the mind, because the mind is very powerful, and it'll get you through these moments where you're feeling stuck.
Yeah, and you have those experiences. And so we talk about the big goals and creating those in our life, and we talked about the 3 different types of goals. The first one we talked about is that A type of goal, that first goal, which is it's setting out to do something that you've already learned how to do. You're just doing it again. It's like you've already purchased a new car. Maybe it's the same car, you want to go get another one. Like, you already know how to do that, and that's a very simple, easy goal for you to do, because you've done it before. You know the skills and traits to do that. And then we have our B type of goals, and those goals are the goals that we haven't done it before, or we haven't had that goal, but we believe that we can do it. Because there's a process. There's a process that we can follow.
Yeah, and then the C type goal is the big kahuna goal. That one, you have no idea how it's going to happen, but it's that C-type goal is really there for a lot of growth and expansion.
And,
So
and especially if it scares you a lot, because
yeah,
that's
it's gonna scare you, and that's
that's your
okay.
stuff coming up, right? And then that's what we try to look for is like, what are we setting big enough goals for ourselves? What is it we truly want to accomplish? And so as we set for those bigger goals and we break through our fears and we break through the limitations that we set up in our own minds, then we grow. We become different people. We attract different things and different other people into our lives that help us to achieve those.
And just remember one thing when working with goals and things like that is don't compare yourself to other people, because then that's going to make you not feel good, especially if you're comparing yourself to someone who's like an overachiever, and they're constantly like achieving goals left and right. So it's like really, accept where you are and just have that trust and faith that you will get there. Feel the excitement of already being there.
And the other thing too is be mindful of who you share your goals with, especially that very big goal, because you probably have had these people in your life that they may not believe that you can do something like that, and it's very easy when you have that idea, and everything starts as an idea in the mind. You can see it. I want to be able to do this. I want to accomplish this. I want to be this type of a person. Whatever that is, it starts as an idea first in your mind, and that's the seed. That's the seed you're planting in there, and that seed is very fragile. And if you start to get discouraged by what other people are saying that aren't encouraging you, or they're looking at where's your goal, or what are you doing this, and this is what I used to experience in sales, is I set a goal, I want to do something, and it was like every single week, well, what'd you accomplish, what'd you do? And it became very discouraging me, especially if I didn't get to where they wanted me to be at that time, is they just didn't know how to work with me, and it became more discouraging than it was encouraging. And so be mindful who you share that with, and you can keep it to yourself. That's okay. Just encourage yourself to do that regardless of what other people think, because this is your vision, not theirs.
Also, remember that when working with your kids, like when they're working on something, and you might have like a goal that you want them to be at, but if they're not there yet, that's okay. Like, just accept where they're at, because a lot of times parents can be really pushy with their kids, like wanting them to get straight A's all the time, or wanting them, to, of course we want our kids to succeed, but it's being okay where they're at. And if they need help, yeah, you can get a tutor or whatnot, but it's like, don't punish them if they are, if they get a B or if they get a C. Like, that's okay. That's just where they're at this moment.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different factors too, and so I want you guys to think about that and really set big goals for yourself. And as you are listening to us today on this episode, and whether you're watching live right now or you're watching the replay, is to start thinking, what would I really love to do? What would I really love to accomplish in my life? And that could be in any area. That could be something within your family and relationships. What do you want to create in your career, in your business, or your work? Is what would you love to do? If you're unhappy where you are right now, what would you love to do? And put all, like, how am I going to do that? I don't have the skills. I don't have the money or the resources to do this. It doesn't matter right now, because you're just envisioning this in your mind. It's like, you get to imagine, right? And write that on paper. Like, what would you love to be doing?
So then ask yourself that question. If money and time wasn't an issue, a factor, what would you love to be doing?
And you knew you can accomplish it. What would you love? And as you start to write things down on paper, you're telling yourself this is what you really want. But there's something that's stopping you from achieving that. And it's just fears and stuff, and maybe just limiting beliefs that we've carried. But we can break through that. We can pass through that. That's the growth process, as we mentioned earlier.
And that's what Aaron and I help people with, is to break through those challenges, break through those limiting beliefs.
And so if you guys would like to share more of that with us, we would love to sit down with you on your goals and your visions, what you want to do. This is what we coach you on. We do a lot of inner healing, and during our processes, you guys can reach us at the manifestationmindsetinstitute.com. And you'll find all the different programs we're putting up. It's under construction right now, but we are putting that together, which should be up by next week with everything we have. But you can always reach out to us, leave us your comments here in the feed. And if you're watching this in someplace else, you'll want to see our episodes every single time. We go live on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific time. And we share a new episode every Thursdays as well at 2 p.m. And you guys can find us at aaronveronica.com. That takes you to our YouTube channel. And when you go there, if you haven't done so, you guys can subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. My button wasn't working properly. And like this video if you found this information helpful, and hit that bell notification so you get reminders each time when we have a new video posted.
All right.
All right.
Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, click that like button.
All right, and we will see you guys next time.
All right. Have a great day.
Bye.